in.
I can't remember the next words. Derek and I have been serenading each other before this thing started.
I stopped right when he hit the live button. I'm just that good.
Yeah, I think I was doing some Beastie Boys, and you were doing Neil Diamond?
Billy Joel.
Yes, that was it.
Billy Joel, the Piano Man.
Yes, I get those messed up sometimes. I'm old. I forget things.
Oh. Why do you have Will's car behind you?
Well, I wanted Will here.
That should be Will being here.
I wanted Will here in spirit.
Are you attempting to Will onto the show? Is that?
No, I actually thought about finding some really radically ugly out there custom and say, hey, Will's not here. The real reason Will's not here is because he's got cars going to Vegas in a week and deadlines. Damn people with jobs that don't actually punch a time clock. I think you go till you fall asleep, and then when you wake up, wherever you fell asleep, you begin again. And I was going to put something up and harass him that was going to be his debut. But no, I decided this Chevy we talked about. For those of you listening, I'm sorry. I'll make this actually part of the cover art. Hopefully whoever actually took this picture doesn't sue us. But, I just thought it spirit of Will to be here tonight. We really like to have him here, but God, I'll be honest. I've joked about wanting a job working for Will. I don't want to work that damn hard ever again in my life.
Yep, that is so true.
As a matter of fact, this place called me this week, and I've had one interview, and I'm going in for the second interview on Friday. And I so don't want to work for somebody, but they're throwing such a pile of money at me. I don't know if I can say no. I've always said I can be bought. I have a price. And maybe that's the shirt I should wear to the interview on Friday. And it is actually getting back into the car field, too. It's
piles of money never hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really tempting. It rivals some of the paychecks I've got in the past. But
see, if you have the pile of money, then you can have Will build a car.
Yes, and see, I don't have a pile of debt anymore, so there's a good chance that could happen. So I keep going, if I made my old salary without any debt, I could do all this fun stuff that people seem to do. Travel, cruises.
Own cars.
Strippers over every night.
Well, that's just a little far. Oh, you mean paint strippers stripping the car?
Yes, I don't want to.
Because you're in mid restoration.
Yes, I don't want to be doing work to the car. So I've been very negligent for the last month and a half, and everybody's clamored about it that I haven't been putting up the automotive history of the day. And the topic of today was really interesting, and I'm going to put on my little specs because I already said I'm an old man, little, readers that I got off of Amazon, $20 for 4 pair, and they're blue light. So all this computer screen won't be affecting me. Man. And I told Derek, we're not going to get very academic. If we get very academic about this, we're going to quit. And if anybody's commenting, please
not
tell
yet.
us. But October 20th, 1902. Do you have any idea where I'm going, Derek?
October 20th. No, October 10th, 1901 is extremely important.
This was a big day for Cadillac. Born out of the fail of Henry Ford Company.
Oh, yeah.
Cadillac manufactured its first vehicle on this day in 1902. Following a dispute between Henry Ford and his investors, Ford left his own company. When the financial backers called upon engineer Henry Leland to appraise the assets from the now defunct business, Leland convinced William Murphy and Lemuel Bowen to start a new company using single-cylinder engines that he produced. Utilizing the former Ford factory at Cass Street and Amsterdam Avenues in Detroit, Cadillac would begin production 2 months after its August founding. Cadillac models debuted at the 1903 New York Auto Show, where the company received approximately 2,000 orders for its finely crafted automobiles. I just always find it amazing how Cadillac is here because of a failed Henry Ford project. And it's just everything ties back. I mean, we have 6 degrees of separation with Kevin Bacon. Everything automotive seems to tie back to Ford some way.
In some fashion.
So, I mean,
what does, and I'm trying not to get academic, but having a little fun here. What does the Benz patent Motorwagen have to do with Henry Ford?
Do they have one up at their facility?
No, they don't. Automotive Hall of Fame does. That's the one I run.
Oh. I don't know. They don't have the same number of wheels. They don't steer the same way. Are they both propelled by the same?
No, you're getting real close. It's mechanical.
Oh. What Henry Ford vehicle?
The quadricycle.
Chain drive?
No, that's a little too vague. But you're on the right track there of the drive system.
Multiple speeds.
I mean, that's you're really in ambiguous territory there with early cars. There's a specific thing that
interchangeable gears or not interchangeable, changeable gears.
Nope.
No, I give up.
You want me to go?
Well, Jason is Jason Hill, right?
No, steering. No.
No. Wait a second. That's got a tiller on it.
Exactly. Neither of them have a steering wheel.
That's what's in common. That's what's in common. Neither one of them have a steering wheel.
Well, that's true. But no, Henry actually saw the Benz patent Motorwagen in Chicago, and he had not yet figured out how to create a differential for the quadricycle. And he actually stole the essential design of the differential on the early Benz patent Motorwagens to use on the quadricycle.
Well, would have that fallen into the Sheldon patent somehow? Is that the Sheldon patent?
No, Sheldon patent was totally different. That was just a guy that thought he could make a lot of money claiming he invented the automobile in America.
You know, right place at the right time. I might have tried it too.
Kind of a sleazy move. Anyway, sorry.
They both have... They both have been driven by Derek. Is that true?
Yes. Replicas of each have been driven by Derek.
Yeah. Oh, lucky duck.
So anyway, yeah, going back to Ford, I mean, it really, as you say, John, it is the 6 degrees of separation because a number of companies have been born because of relationships, let's call them, with Henry Ford. Even Dodge, the Dodge brothers, who were, investors in the early Ford Motor Company, the actual Ford Motor Company that's still around today, and also suppliers to the business. They built some of the early engines for Ford. If you open up a early Ford, model, let's see, I think it was Model A and C, if I recall correctly, had Dodge Brother engines. You lift up the floorboards and you see this DB on the engine, Dodge Brothers. So they eventually would make so much money out of everything that happened with Ford Motor Company. They went off and founded Dodge.
Yeah, I remember that one. I mean, there a couple of months ago, there's all like within 2 weeks, all this stuff came about that involved the Ford Motor Company and additional things. The Cadillac thing, I think it was in August. I mentioned there in August that it's when they actually did this and created Cadillac. However, that all broke down. I mean, I guess I said it earlier. Henry Ford had a lot to do with a lot of the automobile stuff that was going on out there. Who else do we have that might be multiple brand influencers or creators or driving? And I mean, I could even go as far as Iacocca and Robert Lutz and things like that, how they've had impacts on the automotive industry among multiple car brands. You know, Iacocca was just basically two, maybe, well, Iacocca would have affected Ford, Lincoln, Mercury, Chrysler, Dodge, Plymouth, Jeep, AMC, Lamborghini, De Tomaso, Maserati. No, missing anything? And I mean, Lutz is going to have everything under the GM umbrella, including, Saturn and Hummer. And then he's going to had time with BMW, and that trickles down to 5 or 6 places. And then he had time with, Exide Battery. He had time with.
So you're saying he got around?
Yeah, and he well, and then of course he was there, at Chrysler, kind of as a Iacocca, and then we're leaving. So he affected all of that, basically everything I said Iacocca at the Chrysler point.
Well, where do you draw the line though? Like what do you consider? Because I'm thinking like we're talking about names that people that listen to the show and those of us obviously host and in the automotive world, they're kind of like the preeminent like names you go to. Oh, Bob Lutz. Yes. Henry Ford. Oh, Ransom Old. All the guy and all the people that are being mentioned over here. But I'm thinking about, and of course, current research that I'm involved in, things like that. But you start thinking about the lesser known people out there, especially European. And I mean, the first one that comes to mind that most people do not know his name is Giotto Bizzarini. I mean, Bizzarini is prolific across the automotive industry with what he did. I mean, the man who created the Ferrari 250, the engine for the Lamborghini Miura, and then would go on to engineer the ISO company and the Bizzarini and everything that happened with Bizzarini's engineering skills. And he's still alive today teaching engineering at a college in Italy. So where do I'm just asking, like, where would you draw a line? Like,
I don't know.
Or is it just those are all the right people?
I mean, you can throw out, crazy names. And I'm trying to remember the name of the movie because it seems like the stupidest plot to a movie. But, it was the movie about,
there's a lot of those.
Gladstone Adams, the inventor of the windshield wiper, who had the things with the Ford.
But, yes.
But technically, he didn't invent the windshield wiper. It was some. I almost really got very sexist there, but it was some.
Yeah.
I almost used a B word, and it didn't end with itch, but I still almost used a B word. Mary Anderson from Alabama is kind of credited with, I think, inventing the windshield wiper. About the same year Cadillac was created.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. The I can't remember. You just said his name, and I can't remember it. Of course, that was the intermittent windshield wiper. He came up with a way to regulate the speed of the wiping of the blades.
Yeah, Gladstone Adams was his name. But what was the name of the movie? It was if I type it into this big search engine I have here.
Toby, I already mentioned the Dodge Brothers connection. We didn't get into it, but we already mentioned that Dodge Brothers came out of Ford, essentially. Come on, Toby. You got to be here when we start. Come on.
Flash of genius. Just in case anybody wants to watch the movie.
That's what people say about me every day, John.
Yeah.
Movie.
I'm surprised you forgot that. I saw that come out and I go, oh, that really, even though it came out in 2008, a year before I met you.
The name of that movie was a flash of genius.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you came up with that. Watch now. I can watch it on something I'm already subscribed to. Looks like Prime Video.
Well, look at that. Just in case you want to catch up.
YouTube for $3.99. Apple TV. I thought I subscribed to Apple TV. I don't know. So many of them.
I'm not sure if Toby's saying that he's going out to the garage because his kid's screaming or because he's sick of us and he's just going to go out to the garage. But no, I mean, there are so many people that have impacted so many different companies throughout automotive history and the automotive industry. And I mean, you can rattle off names probably for days, but then, sometimes it's within the same company because you think of somebody like Billy Durant or Alfred P. Sloan, all in General Motors, and how they impacted the structure within General Motors and everything that happened there. That's one thing. But when you talk about, you know, as I said earlier, relationships that Henry Ford had with people and what led from that. I mean, even the company known as Hupmobile, which if anybody watched was, I think, at the last episode, I was questioning if anyone knew what company had the nickname Up No Hill. That was Hupmobile. But
what the episode?
Robert, one of was it 1 or 2 episodes ago? We were talking about nicknames for cars, and I mentioned that there was one that was known as Up No Hill, and I was wondering if anyone in the audience knew it. It was Hupmobile.
I'm gonna say I'm sorry. Was I? I don't remember that episode.
I think you were asleep.
That's quite possible.
And but Robert C. Hupp was an employee of the Ford Motor Company, and then went off on his own. So there's a ton of things. I mean, especially when you get into Detroit, and there's an area called Milwaukee Junction in Detroit, and that's where like all the early auto stuff happened. Sorry, I'm borderlining on too academic, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, I was thinking of other names. Elizabeth Carmichael. The Dale.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You look kind of dumbfounded and stumped. And I'm going, there's no way I stumped Derek. No way.
I'm just waiting for, because you were talking about impacting multiple brands and lines, and I'm not sure where you're going with that one.
I don't know. I'm just going to some random name that got us off the academic track.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was totally lost.
See, I derailed it like, well, we won't talk about that.
Like Will would.
I subscribe to this Facebook page about trains, and it's amazing the number of trains that derail. The Dale, the Elio, the DeLorean, all these cars.
Oh, there's so. I mean, and then yeah, there you go, John DeLorean, General Motors over to his own company.
Pontiac GTO, Tiger in the Tank.
Catch Tiger by its tail.
And he ended his life trying to produce a watch.
I brought it to Buck Owens. Hey.
Well, let's go.
Sure, that dude had some cool cars.
Who's the guy I'm thinking of? Oh, he was at GM. He was a designer. He was around for the C5 Corvette. He wasn't the guy that designed the C5, but he was known for like driving his Ferrari and parking it right up by the building, which you're not supposed to do, and I always get in trouble for that. I guess if we want to talk somebody that really impacted,
it wasn't Cafaro, was it?
No. And all that book, All Corvettes Are Red, is in the other room, but
there's Cafaro and Peters on the C5.
No, they weren't actually the guys on the C5. He was like head of GM design or something at the time.
Oh, would that have been C5? Would that have been God, was that Wayne Cherry time?
No, it's
was
a
it
funky
right
name.
before? Was it the guy before Wayne Cherry?
Might have been. C5 would have been 98, 97.
97. Man, I'm trying to go back through and I'm blanking on some of that era right there. Let's see. Chuck Jordan was already gone.
I'm getting Ed Wellborn. That's not it. I don't know.
It would have been somebody between Chuck Jordan and Wayne Cherry, evidently. But who was that? Man.
Oh, he's a big name. I can't think of who it was. I might be all off. Maybe I should reread the book.
I don't know.
Damn, another book.
I'm blanking too. So
I just got Chip Gaines's book on audio, so we know where I'm going.
I think all Corvettes are red is right. It's somewhere in this room. I don't know. There's probably about 150 books in this room.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to move studios and all of that here. Come December, I'll be in a brand new studio, and so a lot of my stuff's getting packed up, and that kind of stuff's getting shuffled away. But I was thinking that, and then who was I going with? I got distracted. I distracted myself. Oh, that wasn't that.
It's a great question, John. I don't know. And Toby, I am not a Harley Davidson historian, so I cannot answer the question if Evinrude made engines for Harley. But it wouldn't surprise me if they did, because of the way engines were built back in the day. But
well, I always find it funny, and it always got pointed out because we had the Porsche Sport Driving School there at Barber, and we had our V-Rod drag bike that everybody. You want to talk about abusing museum artifacts?
No, I don't.
They actually bought a second one because they expected this one to blow up at some point. And boy, it was going to be funny because they rev it up for a dinner bell and all this other thing. Start the thing up, let it idle for 30 seconds, and then rev the hell out of it for 2 minutes and then shut it off.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. But that was a Porsche. The V-Rod engine was designed by Porsche.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I mean, Ferdinand Porsche. Like, there's a guy who impacted how many different companies along the way? Volkswagen, Porsche. But then think about back. Oh, God, I hate that. I don't know how to not be academic, evidently. But here's the guy that really creates one of the first cars to have a true hemispherical combustion chamber with Austro-Daimler. He was the engineer for Austro-Daimler, creates a hemispherical combustion head, and look where that went.
Let's look at the irony of that. We're sitting here today. We're in this debate between gasoline power and electric, and Ferdinand Porsche.
Steam all the way, steam.
And Ferdinand Porsche does a Hemi and an electric car.
And a hybrid. Don't forget that he did some early electric stuff, but he also had hybrids.
Yeah, so
when he first started working on.
So let's not say electric cars are bad and it's not the way things were meant to be. Porsche did everything. But I was thinking, and I might have come up and
wait. I gotta stop, Jason, because I'm gonna need some hard evidence on there, because Wintons were extremely expensive cars. Possibly the earliest Ford and Wintons were similar priced, but Winton was not an affordable car to the general public. Henry brought the price of his cars down really, really quick. Winton had no desire in making an affordable car for the masses. Wintons were top of the line automobiles coming out of Cleveland. Not to call our listeners out. Sorry, but no, Wintons were expensive. However, going back to where we started, when John talked about October 20th, 1902, October 10th, 1901 is when Alexander Winton lost to Henry Ford in a race.
Yeah, I was just doing a quick Google on Winton, and I don't see anything about it. The one.
Oh, there you go. Jason just said he had it backwards. So
yeah, I got the company. The company must have been feeling the pinch of lower priced cars. This is in 1913, like Ford's, while a lower cost customer something had more than $300. Some Wintons were, and I have to click through and read it. I don't want to click through and read it.
No, you go. Yeah. here's another Alexander Winton is another one of those early auto pioneers who have had a lasting impact on automotive history and engineering. Alexander Winton's one of the earliest guys to bring diesel engine technology to the United States. Had a diesel engine plant in Cleveland, Winton Diesel. It powered World War II submarines. And guess who bought up the rights to the Winton Diesel?
Ford.
Nope.
No.
You ever heard of a Duramax diesel powering Chevrolet and GMC trucks? The lineage of Duramax diesel goes back to the Winton Diesel out of Cleveland.
So you're saying Chevy uses old technology?
No, it's just they bought it up so they would have the rights to diesel engines so they could develop them.
So,
however, I will say if anybody's from Cleveland area, I don't remember if any of our listeners are from the greater Cleveland area.
Actually, we get most of the show downloads. A huge proportion of our show downloads are in Ohio.
No, it's all my friends from Ohio. What do you know? But the USS Cod, the World War II submarine that is docked in Cleveland, if I recall correctly, is powered by Winton diesels. I know it's diesel, and I'm pretty sure they're Wintons. And they actually just this year had it up and running again and actually under power out in Lake Erie. There were some great videos on YouTube. So thanks to the volunteer staff at the COD for making that happen, because that was a great undertaking. And a few of my former volunteers from the Crawford are those volunteers that are on the COD. So there we go. Throwing that out. None of them listen, but good job, guys.
I'm still going to throw out, I think I might have figured out the guy that may have had the biggest influence on the automobile. Sole individual had the biggest influence on the entire automotive industry. No guess?
Bertha Benz.
No, I mean, well, I guess you could probably say, you know, inventing the car might have had the biggest impact of it. So we'll give it to Da Vinci. But no, what would you say about Harley Earl?
So it has been said by one of my colleagues in the museum world.
See, I knew the answer.
I'm paraphrasing this because I cannot remember his exact quote. It's written down in a book. But basically, Harley Earl is probably the greatest artist of the 20th century, and yet is the most unknown collected artist of the 20th century. You follow that?
Oh, I follow completely that. I just saw Jason suggested Iacocca. We already talked about Iacocca 26 minutes.
Yeah, nobody cares about Iacocca. Come on. Yeah, but anyway, Harley Earl he did have probably one of the most significant impacts on automotive history, because he's the man who is hired to start the first styling studio at a major automotive company in the world, the art and color section of General Motors, which is now known as Design. But his impact in the time he is there, from 27 when he's hired until retirement, he oversaw the design of it with the significant design and design changes of more automobiles than almost anyone in history. And the cars he designed in that time period right now are the most highly sought after and collected cars in the world. And that's where that comes from, because people who collect them, I mean, somebody that's got their 1930 Cadillac parked in their garage, something like that, not all of them know. And I mean, you even come up into the, the 30s, 40s era Chevys, They don't understand that that's Harley Earl that they've collected. They've collected an artwork of Harley Earl.
But where I'm saying he's the most influential person in the industry is okay. Yeah, he's, the most collected unknown artist, but his art also impacted what everybody else was doing.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And I fell short of explaining that, but yet everything he did at GM worked its way out into the greater automotive world.
I mean, Ford responded to it with designs. I mean, take the Corvette. You come up with the Corvette. That's why we have a Thunderbird. I mean, that's probably the simplest but most in your face example. But I venture to say EL Cord had some effect too by going, kind of doing the first pop-up headlights and going a little bit to more enclosed fenders and things. But that we were going that way anyway with the airflows and things like that. But I just think, from definitely the 40s and 50s on, every styling, the way cars are designed today are a trickle down of what he did before. Because who knows where we would be if he didn't design and, like you said, have the impact on so many different vehicles.
Well, think about the fact that, I mean, there's one simple example of the impact Harley Earl has had. There was a TV commercial, I want to say in the early 2000s, maybe around 2010. I would have to look it up again, that General Motors themselves produced. And it was inside the design studio, inside the design studio. It was a set. And there were young designers sketching, basically doing their sketches. And the one guy, they get stumped as they're doing these sketches, and they look at him, and the ghost of Harley Earl whispers in their ear what they should do. And they all of a sudden have an epiphany and sketch out what they realize they need to do. GM themselves acknowledge in that commercial the significant impact that Harley Earl has to this day on automotive styling.
I'm going to probably do something here that's illegal.
Of course. Why not? Welcome to the new No Driving Gloves after hours.
I'm going to need help from the chat room.
Well,
let me know.
Let
me know if you hear noise. Did anybody in the chat room hear noise while we were quiet there? I'm not sure this is going to play through. I guess I could watch my little lights. Yeah. Let's see if I can do that.
Got
this up.
Big old nope coming across.
Let me see if
you guys are our guinea pigs. Yeah.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I'm going to go back while John's trying to figure that out, because I think it was Toby. Let me go back. I'm pretty sure it was Toby. Mentioned Packard and Winton. And yes, didn't Winton refuse to fix the car of Packard? Yes. Alexander Winton refused to fix the Winton that James Ward Packard purchased. If you go back through the records, oddly, serial number 13 Winton, we're not going to get into anything superstitious, I don't think, but does not show up in the original production records of the Winton Motor Carriage Company. And that's because that is the one that was sold to James Ward Packard. He drove it from Cleveland, Ohio, and attempted to drive it back to Warren, which is not terribly far. And before he got just got just outside of Warren, the car broke down, couldn't get it started again. He had to have it towed by horse into town and back to his house, which the wealthiest man in Warren, Ohio, and probably one of the wealthiest men, no, not probably, one of the wealthiest men in Ohio proper, having his brand new car towed back to his estate was more than a little embarrassing. And when Winton refused to help, and he basically told Packard, and Winton got into it. And Winton essentially said, well, if you think you can do it better, build your own. And Packard, of course, already having the electric company, in Warren, Ohio, said, you know what? We can figure this out. And thus was born the Packard automobile.
No, I'm not going to be able to pull that off. I found the commercial you were talking about and I wanted to play it, but I can't seem to get the audio to come through the board right now. I don't know what I have set up wrong. So we'll just
growing pains, ladies and gentlemen, growing pains.
No, again, it's one of these things that would really cater to the video audience. And at one point we built this show for audio, but I'm enjoying the video people here. How about Brewster? Is that like the guy that Richard Pryor played in Brewster's Millions? Having a young Hibbert and Dietrich.
Hibbert and Dietrich. Mm-hmm.
You know.
That's what this show is all about, Toby, right there. Great stories when you look at the personal relationships.
Well, that's what cars are about. I guess that could be a whole topic, but I could swing it a little bit. And since we have a chat room and people do comment, is that why? That's why I'm into cars. That's why I think I've always been in. I mean, they're cool, and you know, people get to be envious of you. And the old life and the old John really enjoyed that kind of crap. It's also amazing the number of people that comment on my Mini. It's a Mini Cooper. I don't get it, but I've had people online. Do you really drive a Mini? Yeah. And they're not saying, do you really drive a Mini? Because, you know, you're such a masculine dude and we wouldn't expect that. They like it. Or I was at Taco Bell this morning getting breakfast. Forgive me. But, and the drive-through lady goes, man, I really like your car. It's a Mini. I don't get it. I even said to her that I've had more exotic and more expensive cars, and I get more people that comment it. I guess it's just a friendly car. I don't understand, but
it's just so cute, John. It's so cute.
Yes, it is. It reminds everybody of me, and I'm.
Yeah, I was going to say. Now you say everybody comments. You mean women comment about how cute the car is? You probably don't get a lot of men going, hey, man, nice Mini.
Lane just did that.
Other than Lane.
I get a lot of guys in the Mini group that comment on it.
I like the clarification there, in the Mini group. Yeah, it's like when I had my Pontiac Solstice. I got a lot of thumbs up from guys that drove Pontiac Solstices.
Well, don't lie. You get thumbs up from guys all the time. You and your big bad pickup truck.
There's nothing wrong with a Chevy Silverado.
No, there really isn't. Other than
I have to tow trailers. I'm not going to tow a trailer with a Mini.
Actually, you can. Do you know my Mini?
Why don't you bring your Mini up here? Why don't you bring your Mini up here? We'll hook a trailer up to it, and I'll put my 31 Chrysler on it, and we'll pull it.
My Mini has the same towing capacity that my Transit Connect did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Toby says,
we'll load the Peerless.
Toby just said it right there. Your Chevy's like a rock. Rocks don't do much other than just lay there and sit around.
I had a comment and it's completely gone out of my head. I can't even think of what I was going to say.
I really
smart cars. There you go. That's John's next step. Smart car.
Well, when John bought his wonderful Fiat, the alternative, I almost bought one of the Brabus smart cars, you know, the one with the custom wheels and the extra 0.6 of a horsepower. And
now, Lane, I don't know. I don't know you. I apologize. I know you're good friends with Will. So I don't know if you have family, if you got married, kids. I don't know your situation, but I will say this. I know Toby. I know there are folks out there that have kids, specifically young girls. When I worked at the Crawford, of course, we were right down the street from Case Western Reserve University, CWRU. And I ran into some folks in the Crawford, just walking around, and started chatting with them about cars. And he told me, he and his wife were up dropping their their daughter off at college for all that good stuff. And we were just chit chatting. He was a car guy, and he looked at me. He said, "Yeah." He's like, "So you know what I got her to drive around here in Cleveland? Smart car." I was like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, no back seat." Deadpan looks at me. He goes, "Yeah, it doesn't have a back seat."
And I will say to Toby, yes, I knew the Bob Seger reference. And yes, this is no driving gloves. Why would you not have a Mini and a Chevy or a pickup truck or towing capacity in the same conversation?
Did I just hear towing capacity and Mini in the same sentence? Yeah, of course you did. Jeez, and back seat. Let's just pile it all in there.
Yeah, you can get a backseat delete for the Mini. Saves you like 50 pounds.
There you go.
Makes it faster.
And can we not talk about Bob Seger? I grew up in Michigan. He's, what's the term for it?
I was just going to say
it's just overdone, man. Bob Seger in Michigan. It's like, ooh, Bob Seger. It's like, yeah, he was from Michigan. Ooh.
Other than Like a Rock, I can't think of a
Main Street
single word or song from Bob Seger.
Main Street, which actually wasn't about Main Street. If you listen really close, it's actually about First Street in Ann Arbor, which is one street over, which is part of the lyrics. He's actually at a place one street over from Main Street, and he's singing about what's going on down on Main Street. And then, of course, you got Old Timer Rock and Roll.
Oh, let's try English here. I guess I'm getting in touch with my risky business side and sometimes say, and take some chances and dancing around in my underwear. There's a good thought for everybody to go to bed to tonight, but
little
tidy whiteys, but, so okay. Maybe
but he sings about South Detroit. What song is that, Patrick? Because the only one that's coming to my mind is Steve Perry. Wasn't it Steve Perry?
Yeah, you say Steve Perry, and I think Sherry, and
yeah, it wasn't Steve Perry. Born and raised in South Detroit. Streetlights, people. Is that Journey? That was Journey, wasn't it? Also, if anybody is from Michigan or the greater Detroit area, Patrick, you are. South Detroit doesn't exist. There is no South Detroit. If you go south in Detroit, you wind up in Windsor, Canada.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, didn't we?
Yeah. I was right. I got Journey. Boom.
Don't stop believing. I can't think of
Now, hopefully Patrick chimes in, and maybe there is a Seger song that talks about South Detroit, but I don't recall it.
I still don't recall hardly any Seger songs.
Oh, he's an import to me. I didn't realize he was an import. Sorry, Patrick, didn't realize you were an import to Michigan. We've gone from cars to, hey, we talked about movie cars, cars in music. There's an important topic in the history of technology and music, because cars reach every genre of music.
And I think that we could get, depending on how we go, we got more than 17 minutes on that topic, but I totally follow you. I mean, it's weird. I spend most of my time in a car anymore listening to podcasts and educating myself. And every now and then I'm exposed to somebody who reminds me music's fun in a car. And I was recently exposed to somebody who reminded me music's fun, and started listening to music again in the car recently. And I'm way behind on my podcasts, to the point, I think the comment that was made to me is, do you have Spotify? Well, I have Spotify so I can check podcasts, make sure our podcast is there. And now I'm all of a sudden trying to teach myself Apple Music and Spotify, and I'm enjoying my car even more. So thank you to said person who suggested that to me. But I'll go, yeah. that's the enjoyment I always remember as a teenager. I always joke. I had a $5,000 CRX in 1989 with $10,000 a car stereo. Now, $10,000.
Well, go ahead.
I'm going to say $10,000 is a lot of money in 1989.
Yeah. It's all that cocaine. Oh, sorry. We don't talk about that, right?
Well, we try not to, and that crossed my mind the other day.
Those white leisure suits you were wearing, and
well, I wore those boat shoes and the pastel shirts, and by the way, the new studio is on a sailboat.
What?
Aren't we talking?
Did I miss this?
Aren't we talking about Miami Vice?
Oh, I thought you were serious. Like you got a studio on a sailboat. I was going to say number one, you're in Birmingham. I mean, it's on the river. Like going sailing on the river. Don't get me wrong.
I've got a friend that really would like me to probably move down to the Keys near him. He lives on a sailboat, And
you're friends with Kenny Chesney too?
I'm friends with everybody.
Man,
it's Kenny Chestnut. Kenny Chestnut.
Oh,
he's related to Joey Chestnut.
Oh, okay.
No, we sit around. We sit around and eat hot dogs.
I like how we're getting all the some of the great lines of music with songs with cars in them. Thank you. All right. Yeah. Again, you said something a little bit ago that I had a comment to, and I completely lost it. That's where I am tonight. Oh, I remember what it was. You were talking about music is fun. Yeah, you don't even want to know what we were doing right before the podcast. But I'm going to tell you anyway. We were playing some Bee Gees music, had a little, disco feel going on, and the kiddos were having a dance party in the family room. So they're big Bee Gees fans. Little Night Fever. Night Fever, Night Fever. Yeah.
At least you can sing. Kind of. You're better than me. We want people to stick around another 12 minutes till we tell them good night. But
12 minutes. Wow. 12
Lane did put the line there, my Maserati goes 185. And my two favorite songs are actually that one, Life's Been Good, and by the same artist, Ordinary Average Guy. And I just can't, they seem to be polar opposite songs, and for some reason, I can't think of the artist that sings them right now.
Okay, well, while you're doing that, I love what Lane just said, because a whole nother branch of discussion you could go down is the for lack of a better term here, the nicknames that are given to cars over time throughout I am coming up with some great topics tonight for other things, for exhibits and for books and for publications. I've got to write some things down after the show. But Lane brings up, I sing about my hoopty a lot. So hoopty is a fairly modern term for automobiles, in a definition. But if you go back in time, there's gow jobs, there's jalopies, there's all kinds of names that show up in oftentimes music that are popular culture references to the automobile. I love that Lane said that. I'm sorry, I'm geeking out here, but it just sparked something in my mind.
Yeah, and I know I'm stuck on Mix-a-Lot. We all know I have a problem with Mix-a-Lot.
Yeah, well,
tinted
those
back window with
those turbo vets.
Tinted back window with a bubble in the middle. My hoopty.
Oh, I was thinking about she's got it going like a turbo vet.
That's Testarossa, isn't it?
What?
I think that's from the song Testarossa.
No.
Or is that Baby Back? Yeah, that's
Baby
the only
Got
one.
Back.
That's the only one you would know, though, isn't it?
What does that mean?
I just don't picture you knowing a lot of Mix-a-Lot.
Yeah, I don't really know a lot of Mix-a-Lot.
Chief Boot Knocker.
Me and Sir, we just never really had a great relationship.
Me and Sir have actually chatted about audio stuff online before. So he's one hell of a producer. I love catching some of his videos and that. He's a very intelligent man when it comes down to it.
Believe me, I'm trying to figure out how to work that song into an exhibit at the museum and not get a whole lot of flack for it. I'll pull it off.
Which song?
Baby Got Back. It talks about a vet. She's got going like a turbo vet.
So's his last single he put out, Cars. He brings up Corvettes too.
See, I'm actually I've
and
got some things written down about doing an exhibit on Corvettes and music, and I did not know about the other song. I'm obviously not fully into my research yet, but obviously one of the big ones we would have to portray is Prince, probably the greatest Corvette song ever.
There's another Corvette song.
There's a lot of them.
Oh yeah.
There's actually if you remember the song Blue, you remember that song?
No.
I'm blue and I'm indeed up and die. That song.
Don't forget about Corvette Sally. You can correct me.
Do you think they can listen to 9 minutes of silence? But anyway, the song Blue, they talk about it, he's living in his blue house with his blue Corvette and blah, blah, blah. But it would be something fun, tie the music to the car and, you show that influence of cars in culture. Bring in a couple hoopties. Sorry, there's an EAS alert going out on the phones, and I'm hearing it through my earphones here. Sorry.
No, we're not getting that over here.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a missing child earlier, so anybody that's watching, please check your phones. There may be an abducted child in your area, and if you keep an eye out for them, that would be awesome.
Keep in mind, this is 9:50 Central Time on the October 20th, 2021. So if you're listening to this in the future, there still may be an abducted child in your neighborhood, but not the one we're talking about.
Yes, I do apologize. I was talking to those that were listening live. Although they've all stopped commenting, so they may have all disappeared.
Well, Lane died laughing. So, we're all Googling the Bee Gees to see.
Everybody just flipped over to Bee Gees videos on YouTube.
That made me think of something. I heard a bit of trivia that, and I can't think of the type of word. What's the name of the word that you can spell forward and backwards? I can't remember because I can't remember the rest of the trivia piece. So let's just go on. Maybe we should just go ahead and give everybody a short night and get out of here before.
You can do mom, dad, wow, pop.
Well, I don't want to know the words. I want to know what it's called.
Oh, when you can spell a word
palindrome.
Back, I think that might be right. A palindrome.
Yeah, because ABBA was the only group to be a palindrome name and have a palindrome hit. And I can't remember what the third thing, but there was 3 palindromes involved. Just a bit of trivia I heard the other day. And at some point I'll remember it, hopefully at a bar during trivia night when that question comes up. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I don't know.
There you go. Toby confirmed it. Palindrome. Yep. There you go.
Yep. Toby is our in-field researcher, and we take everything he says.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
I believe Toby was playing around with a Rolls Royce today at work, if I recall correctly, or maybe that was yesterday, but.
Oh, you're fine, Jason. So did Derek. So Jason commented spelled forward and backwards. Sorry, he thought we were looking for examples. And he did provide race car.
Yes. Yeah, race car would be one.
But every time I type race car into my phone, it wants to make it 2 words.
Yeah, well. That is the great debate. Is it 1 word or 2?
Yes. Toby got that one. He answered that for you too.
No, Toby's answering yes to driving Clara Bow's Rolls Royce today to head to the Greenwich Concours.
You going to Greenwich?
I am not going to Greenwich. However, I was at Chattanooga.
I was going to
came up
say
and
we
said-
never.
none of our listeners came up and said hi to me, but I probably foolishly also, as I was driving the 4 hours back home with the truck and trailer, realized, probably when I go out to these things, I should get on the No Driving Gloves Facebook page and do a live hit and actually talk to our listeners and show them what the show's all about. So next time I go to an event, let's look forward to that.
Now, Will's done that a couple times. I've done that a couple of times, and feel free.
And I've done it no times.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go ahead and call this one. We'll cut it off a little bit early.
All right. that
Unless
works
our
for me.
listeners are. Oh, yeah. And Jason reminded you and carry the No Driving Gloves banner.
Yes.
And I do apologize for not making it up there, Derek. I chose to prioritize other things. And then I start seeing all the names and and I get, what a stupid, lazy,
Yeah. Yep.
sexy
ran
dude
into,
I was that I stayed home.
Yeah, ran into Wayne Carini while I was there.
Set up
Bill
an interview?
Rothermel. No, Bill Rothermel was there. Let's see. Ran into all the GM guys. I was up at like 4:30 in the morning on Sunday to help the GM guys out. That was fun. But hey, how often do you get to move Firebird 1 and Firebird 2 around? Not that often. So the concept cars, the jet turbine cars, not just like Firebird Serial 1 and Serial 2. No. Concept cars.
I saw those at Amelia the last time I was there. Did they drive them or were they just all pushing?
They I don't want to make Chattanooga sound bad, but due to the exhaust situation on the Firebirds, they were not permitted to drive them in town because the Concours is set on the streets of Chattanooga in the West Village, and they did not want to risk any damage to anything downtown. So
I would think they would actually melt the asphalt. So
that is one of the things that was a worry. Yes. That has happened with Chrysler turbines before in certain streets and also catching golf courses on fire at Concours. So yeah, when you're running turbine cars like that, you got to be kind of careful. So,
but okay, let's say I just happen to have a Chrysler turbine in my garage. Is Chattanooga going to tell me I can't drive it down the street when I got Alabama tags on it?
Well, I don't know. Go talk to Chattanooga. I think the problem with the Firebirds is that they're actually like aircraft turbine, and they actually kind of shoot hot exhaust out of the back of them versus, the way Chrysler did it was a little different with the exhaust. I mean, Firebird 1 is literally a jet engine with a cockpit. Okay. It might as well be a land speed car. But so 2 things for Lane. I know you were going to cut this off early, John, but we're going to keep rolling because number 1, I hope his comment about one hit wonders wasn't about No Driving Gloves. And number 2, what makes Jay Leno's the best turbine car? Because there are still quite a few of them out there and quite a few of them that still drive. So what makes his Chrysler turbine the best? I'm one who always likes, backup evidence and proof and,
because
decisive.
Yeah, Lane's also right. You can drive anything with a Bama tag.
Well, I'm going to come get some Bama tags then.
Well, there's the famous picture of, and I can't think of I can't think of his name. And he's driving Paris streets in his Porsche 917 with Alabama tags on it. He got it registered in Alabama and was driving it around Paris. And there's pictures of it. It was a legitimately registered race car because you can really register anything here.
Mm-hmm. See, Jason, again, I can't let that be the only reason because he still drives it. There are a few other private owners out there. And actually, I shouldn't even say that because I know some of the museums that have them have been able to get them running and do run them. So again, he's not the only one that drives it. There are other examples out there running and driving. Not that I'm saying Jay's a bad guy, anything like that, but credit where credit is due, some of the other owners are driving those cars. Radio silence.
Yes, that works really, really well on the audio podcast. He has the drive and innovation to keep the prototypes alive. I really enjoy watching anything that has something to do with his mass collection. Your last statement, Jason, I will say is not true. He is very educated on him, and he can do work, but he has a complete staff.
He has a full shop, yes. Full
and,
staff, yes.
And I know Derek knows, and I know his chief mechanic, and very humble guy. And also races motorcycle sidecars.
And Lane, I agree with the comment that he has the drive, innovation to keep the prototypes alive. Throw in there that he has the money to do it, because there are a lot of people in this world that have the drive and innovation to keep all cars alive, even prototypes. And he also has, you talk about, I really enjoy watching anything that has something to do with his mass collection. There's another thing with all of the celebrities that have these collections. Number one, they have the money, but number two, they have the media resources behind them to put out those videos and, put out those things that are so well produced that, makes, always makes things look a little fancier than they truly are. So that's something you have to remember. And again, I'm not trying to knock anybody like Jay or Wayne Carini or any of those guys that do any of that stuff. I know a lot of those guys. I've met a lot of those guys. I talk to a lot of those guys. I'm fortunate in the field I'm in. But there are a lot of other folks out there that, have great collections that keep them running, keep them going, have the drive to do so. They just don't have the money and the media behind them to be as well known as people like Jay and Wayne and, Chip Foose and all those guys. I mean, it's like, perfect example. Take Chip Foose, who is a almost household name right now, for everything he does with overhauling and all the different TV shows he's been involved with. And we have a co-host on our podcast that builds just as high caliber cars as he does, Will, at Big Oak Garage. And, there are people out there that know Will's name, but not as many that know Chip Foose's name. Will's not a household name because he doesn't have that yet. He's getting there, but he doesn't have that media drive behind him and those big paychecks. So just like I said, I'm not trying to bash anybody. I just want to, just keep all of that in mind when you're thinking about that.
I don't know how to follow you up, Derek, because I've got collector friends here in Birmingham that have cars you would die for. You would not believe are in Alabama. And nobody knows them. They choose not to be known. I really don't know what to say. Is, celebrities are going to be celebrities. And was it Lane that said, it's, kind of cool because Leno can spend his money on anything he wants. And Leno spends his money on his car collection. And very few people know Leno spends a lot of money to make sure he sleeps in his bed every night. He does not stay in hotels. Just recently, he purchased a house on the East Coast in the New England area. So he has a bed to stay in on the East Coast. But he's been known to do shows in New York City and takes advantage of the time zone changes. He flies to New York, does the show, and he gets on the plane at 10 o'clock New York time. It's 7 o'clock LA time. He's landing in LA at 10:30 and then goes home. He just makes sure he's home. When he does his Vegas shows, he does, he's known to do two shows in Vegas every weekend. He flies home after him. He spends a lot of money to make sure he does that. So he spends his money on other things. And is his wife Mavis?
Mavis. Yep.
Mavis. Yeah, and she has some pretty nice collections too. So he doesn't spend all his money on cars, but it's nice that he does. Jeff Dunham does. Tim Allen's got a hell of a collection. I mean, a lot of these celebrities do. I can't remember who I was listening to the other day that I was amazed had a car collection, but it's just, cars are, we said it at the beginning of the show. We said it at the beginning of the middle of the show. We say it all the time. Cars bring us together. It's the people that keep you coming back. And I believe the celebrities do the same thing too. They like going to these things and hanging out with car people. And it takes them out of the celebrity sometimes. I mean, they've got to deal with it, but yes, they can spend their money on anything. I'm glad Leno spends his money on cars and brings as much to the hobby, and total props to Leno. The reason I have the degree I do, the reason I know Will, the reason I've had the career I have is 100% attributable to Jay Leno, because he in 1996 made a donation to McPherson College. And I read the article and I immediately applied to McPherson, and I was accepted as the last person in the class of 1999, or I could be the first person in the class of 2000. And I elected to be the first person in the class of 2000 to finish up the degree I was getting in modern automotive technologies. But that's how I met Will. That's how I met Derek. That's how I got to the podcast. That's how I got to the Barber Museum. That's how I got to work on the Titanic. That's how I got to work on the Saturn V rockets. That's, how I got to work on time capsules. My career is 100% attributable to Jay Leno. And I don't know if I've ever actually said that or thanked him for it, but yeah, Jay, thanks. I'm where I am today, miserable, unhappy, blah, blah. No, I'm doing fairly well, but it's attributable to Jay and his love of cars. And I think there's dozens of students at McPherson that would not know of McPherson without Jay.
Mm-hmm. My career is not tied to Jay Leno in that way. However, here's one of those, you could almost play one of those 6 degrees of separation here as well. Although my career is not, one of my cars is, and that would be the Peerless. The Peerless was found and eventually became mine because of friendships I have tied to Jay Leno. And that's, a gentleman named Randy Ema, who is a major Auburn Court Duesenberg person. And if anybody is in that world, they will probably easily recognize Randy's name. Randy's been a good friend for many, many, many years now. And if I haven't told the story on the show, basically it goes something to the effect of Randy gets a call that there is a V12 Auburn in an estate in Mishawaka, Indiana. Jay had been looking for a V12 Auburn for years for his collection, and basically told Randy, go look, see if it's really a V12 Auburn. And if it is, then, get it and bring it back and we're going to restore it. So, Randy was in Mishawaka looking at this car. The son of the couple that had passed, his parents, basically was like, there's another car out in the barn that we haven't gotten rid of yet. Would you want to take a look at that? And Randy said, yeah, sure. Why not? And went out there, and sure enough, here's a V8 Peerless. And, bless his heart, I guess, Randy said, I know exactly the person who needs to own this car. I'll give him your contact info. And a few months later, when I was visiting Randy out in California, he gave me a picture of the car with the gentleman's contact info on the back and said, I told him I know who needs to own the car. Now it's up to you. And I was able to acquire the Peerless. So although my career is not thanks to Jay, essentially my Peerless through a odd connection is. So I think that's a pretty nice connection there. And thanks to Randy and in some ways Jay, I now own a Peerless that I never thought I would own.
I think we'll conclude there. We're starting to get some crazy people commenting there.
Yeah.
Hi, Christine. So,
sorry, I thought something came. I thought something flew past my head there.
No, but she's right. I'll be honest. She's 100% right. If it wasn't for cars and museums and everything, a lot of us wouldn't have the companions we do, or had the companions we do, or however it works. I mean, a lot of my relationships have been tied to cars. You know, Derek's are. I'm not sure Will. I don't know if his wife ties back to the cars or not. I know she enjoys them, but I don't know. But
and of course, now Christine's here. She's taking over the comment section. Everybody's saying hi to her.
Well, I was going to say Jason was making some comment earlier and noting that Dana was in the den listening also. So,
well, we all see who people like better. So,
yeah. Well, we've said we want a female co-host. Sit in now and then. We just happen to have them in the comment section.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to thank everybody for being with us tonight, sitting here listening to us talk for 70 minutes about virtually nothing. And there is that guy that talks about nothing that has a pretty decent car collection also.
That's true.
But we'll be back next week. Same time, same place, roughly the same channel. Well, actually for you guys,
terrible looks.
Yes. Well, maybe. What do I want to say? NoDrivingGloves.com for everything. Go there, click buy us a coffee. If you enjoyed the show, send us a couple of bucks through buy us a coffee. Send us suggestions, comments, anything you want. If you want us to talk about something, somebody said it earlier that, can I find that comment? Because it was, kind of made me feel good. Let's stroke my ego.
The one about us being a one-hit wonder?
No, there was one.
Even. Sorry.
I might not be able to find it. I think it was after the Bee Gees one. Maybe they deleted it. They realized what they said. There it is. That's what I like most about Derek, John, and Will. All are steeped in automotive knowledge and hands-on. Well,
you notice whose name was first, though.
And I was going to say, I really try not to be hands-on, but I bring you all together. There was a bunch of us in the watching live tonight, and a bunch of us will listen on the audio podcast, which usually drops sometime on Mondays. So again, NoDrivingGloves.com. Check us out. All the shows are there. Links to everything are links to everything. Well, there's links to everything there. For some reason, English is eluding me in that sentence.
You say that links thing enough. We should get a sponsorship from, what is it, Jack's Links or whatever.
Well, I was going to talk about during this episode that people really need to start buying us coffees, or otherwise we're going to start coming on here and talking about Blue Chew and Manscaped and all these other. So I'm out of here. It's gone
south, so it's time to go.
Well, we did talk about manscaping. Talk to you later next week.